Broadcasting from the studios of WKEN, where every day it's the weekend. It's the Ken Calvert Show with your host, Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the casual studios of WKEN, where every day it's the weekend. Now, coming up today, I have a chat with old friends Tom Daldin and Jim Edelman from public television's Under the Radar Michigan, a scene on PBS here in Michigan, locally in southeast lower Michigan. Saturday mornings at 10:30 and Thursday evenings at 8:30 p.m. I love that program. I apologize for the cold, but I like the deep voice. Man, I wish it was like this all the time. Tom and Jim and I all worked early on at WRIF. Cut it out. We had great times at WRIF. We caught up not long ago because I wanted to know more about Under the Radar Michigan. It's been around for 7-8 years now at least. And I love the program. I really, truly love the program. It's a story that I think you'll find unbelievable when you hear the boys tell it. So that's coming right up. But first, as I like to do, well, there's a lot of things you know about me. You know, I'm a germaphobe. And that, oh, by the way, the reason why I think I have a cold, because I had a doctor's appointment and a dental appointment, and I am convinced that's where you get stuff. You know, from the magazines, the chairs, the pens, just checking in. Normally there's only one pen up there. And guess what that's got all over it? Sickness. That's what that has all over it. Keep your damn pen. Bring your own pen, okay? Boy, I went sideways fast on that, so I apologize. But I did. I went to the dentist because apparently I find out I need a crown. So they had to do those impressions of my lower mandible, the lower part of your jaw. And they used that metal, I don't know, it's like a metal thing that they put goop in, and they put it in your mouth and tell you to bite down and just let it work for about 5 minutes. So you sit there, and then they come in and take it out and kind of lift it out, and there's like that little noise that it makes, and it pops right out. Or did it pop right out? No, it did not pop right out. So all of a sudden, they call in another person, and so now there are 3 people in the suite trying to get this lower tray out of my mouth, and it is stuck, and it ain't coming out. So they reach way in the back, and they finally pry this thing, and it finally pops out. And I was freaking because I thought that like half of my chiclets were going to be stuck in that tray. I really did. I thought every tooth was coming out when they got it out. But it all worked out pretty well. But man, I got to tell you something. That really absolutely flipped me out. I mean, if that's happened to you, I know it has. I'm not a freak. I know I'm not. I'm a germaphobe, yes, I'm not, but I'm not a freak. So anyway, that happened to me this week. A couple of other real quick things. Number one, last night, 7:30, getting ready to go out to eat dinner. Look up, and there's a Time Life series on for CDs, a collection of CDs, music of your life or something. And the hosts, Peter Marshall, I just looked this up. Peter Marshall from the Hollywood Squares, he was like the original host of Hollywood Squares. And there's been a ton of those, right? And now it's Steve Harvey. Does a good job with that. Anyway, Peter Marshall. Do you know how old Peter Marshall is? He's 92 years of age. And he's co-hosting with Debbie Boone, who's like 62. I can live with that, obviously. But the fact is, I didn't know that people still ordered CDs, those collections, in the mail. In fact, I don't think my new SUV, it's a 2019, I don't think it has a CD player. I think everybody relies on Sirius or streaming, Spotify, Pandora, whatever, but just found that very, very bizarre. And the other thing was I was on my way home, so I got a car wash, and I just had another question for you. You know how they have the boutique menu as you pull around the corner and all of a sudden you can see the various prices you can pay? Well, I'm convinced if you go cheap, get the cheapest one, you still get all the stuff. Because I don't see much I just don't know what's different about, I think everything has the underbody wash and all the other toys and all the stuff. I think there may be something that has like a smell like bubble gum or something that I don't know, but I just can't pay $20 for a car wash and live in Michigan. I can't do it. So I go with like the $7 car wash, and then I go home and kind of clean her up. The car wash thing applies because you guys all know for a fact that if you live in Michigan with all the salt that we have, no matter how hard you try to have a clean car for one day, it can't be done because the salt will ultimately get you once again within 4 or 5 minutes, latest 4 or 5 hours. Okay, so why do I bring this up? Because it's about Michigan. What's under the radar Michigan about? All of the really cool things that you can see all over the great state of Michigan, lower and upper peninsula. Had a great chat with Tom Daldin and Jim Edelman not long ago. A couple of guys I worked with early on at WRIF, as I mentioned. These guys are just cool as hell. We had a great time. We had some laughs. And I want to throw it up there for you. I put it out there once before, but I wanted you to hear it on this platform. So here it is, Under the Radar, Michigan, with hosts Tom Daldin and writer, editor, he's also on camera a lot, Jim Edelman. Oh, and photographer. Oof, almost forgot that. And their producer, another producer, director, Eric, was not here for the conversation. But here it is, Under the Radar, the Ken Calvert Show podcast. Thank you for joining us. Here we go. Hi, everybody. It's Ken Calvert, and welcome to the Ken Calvert podcast. Always a pleasure being with you and reunited with a couple of old workmates, if you will, and now extremely successful entrepreneurs, broadcasters, and television icons. I'm talking about Tom Daldin and Jim Edelman from Under the Radar, Michigan. It's an incredible program.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you because, and I have to ask you, Ken, because we worked together at WRIF.
We're going to go there.
Yeah, years ago.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that we'd amount to anything, Jim and I?
I'm still worried.
Well, I did. I actually did. And you guys were, if I can say one thing about, we go back how far? I think you and I went to the chili cook-offs together.
82. 82 is when I started. You started earlier.
I started at, I think it was 1979 as Lynn Woodison's assistant news director.
Oh.
For a whopping $75 a week.
Oh. Now, everybody got together. I was unable to attend, but everybody got together recently for a WRIF ABC-owned and operated reunion. You see, there was a time when we all worked at WRIF when it was owned by ABC, and it was phenomenal.
Oh, we worked at Broadcast House with Channel 7.
And the budgets were, what budgets? We don't, if we want it, we need it. But the ratings are down. Well, how much do you need?
Well, the magical thing about that era was we were a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And we were working for ABC with these huge budgets. They cut us loose because they figure they must know what they're doing. They're young and they know what rock and roll is all about. And we just had so much fun and made quite a mark in the industry.
Oh, no,
almost by accident.
Well, no, I think forever in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go around the country, PLJ in New York,
right.
And BOS in Boston, and KLOS, and KSAN in San Francisco.
KFOG.
KFOG, and not to mention the ones in Philly, MMR, all of those. So everybody, if you say to somebody in radio that you worked at WRIF, what did you do there?
It's funny because we do a lot of public speaking now because of the show.
Sure.
And we were speaking in front of a large crowd just a few days ago, and I just said, I'm not even sure why I brought it up. Anybody here ever remember the Dick the Bruiser band? And they're all like, yeah. And I said, well, I was the drummer, and I got the biggest applause for that of the entire day.
That's something, yeah. People, yeah, right.
They remembered that.
I have nothing. I swear to you, those were the happiest times of my life. We worked in one of the greatest buildings, a brand new building.
Right there.
That was so
house.
state of the art. It was incredible.
I can picture every nook and cranny of that building.
Absolutely.
Still today.
Absolutely.
I can walk the halls in my head.
And like I said, we were kids back then. And I remember I walked in the building, knew nothing about radio other than I loved rock and roll. I was a musician.
Yeah.
and got a job as an assistant news director. I produced the night call show Sunday nights from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m.
Was that with Bender or with Peter Werby?
No, I went back to Mike Collins.
Oh,
I had Werby.
I went back to Mike
you worked
Collins,
for Peter Werby.
who after every show would proceed to roll the biggest fatty you ever saw and want to stand in the newsroom for 3 hours and discuss the show. And it's 3 in the morning on a Sunday night.
And did you know that his father was the chief of police up in East Lansing?
No.
Yes.
No, I did not know
that. And I think he went on to have a very successful career as a television anchor, maybe?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Yes.
Those of you that are unique to our area, the southeast lower portion of Michigan, would certainly realize WRIF and who the talent pool consisted of, which was JJ and the Morning Crew, arguably one of the hottest morning shows ever, followed by yours truly, the casual one in middays.
One of my favorites of all time.
Thank you very much.
Replaced Jay Brando.
The host's name is Ken Calvert or KC.
I saw that.
Right here.
It's written
Up
down
here on a
for
music
us.
stand for these guys. And then me into the big man, Arthur P.
Right.
And those were celebrated crossovers that we did every Friday.
Do you have any of those on tape?
You know what? I don't.
Those were
so
worth.
good.
Well,
those were
you know, the thing is, I
gold.
found a bag of cassettes in the basement, and you were commenting on the fact that I have a cassette machine loaded into my board.
Yes, I
and I'm coming across some things. I had a guy come in one day, and I had it on an air check. It was a friend of mine's buddy, and I think it was like Larry Waholic or something like that. And he played the accordion professionally. And he
you
came
can do
in,
that.
and I kept telling Lynn that I played the accordion. And she said, "No, you don't." I said, "Yes, I do. And in fact, one of these days I'm going to bring it in and play it for you." So she went with the bit. And this guy came in and she said to me, "Play Some Enchanted Evening." And I went, "Oh, okay, hold on." Yeah, 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 yeah. And then I said, "But don't you want to hear A Whole Lot of Love?"
On an accordion.
On an accordion.
Oh, my God.
And it's hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. So we all went our separate ways. You guys, your names would come up often. I didn't see you nearly as much as I would have loved to have. That's just the way stuff happens, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know that on a number of times I heard from Steve Costin, and he would say, "Hey, listen, Free Beer is playing up at Colley's in
Oh, that's
Farmington."
right. Yep. That's
And he said, "But they don't do it very often.
Oh, no.
So come on up." I wasn't too lazy. I just never managed to make my way up there.
I don't blame you.
Actually, it's
I
lucky
don't
we
blame
even
you.
made it.
Yeah, that's one of those things like the whole free beer phenomena, because Scott Brown, another RIF alumni, and I were in that band together, and we needed a drummer 14 years ago. So I reached out to Tom.
And my wife said, "Please, you need to get out of the house. You need to do something."
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was producing and directing car commercials for the big three auto companies.
Right.
And so she said, "Yeah, go join the band. Go out and play with these guys." And 14 years.
Yeah, and really, had we not been in the band together, we would not have been that in close proximity that when our jobs dried up and we were in the position to start Under the Radar, that would not have happened.
Yeah, because the show started out of necessity. I mean, in 2009, I was producing, directing car commercials, and when the big three auto companies all crashed, I lost 90% of my income.
Oh, sure.
I had a daughter in high school, a son at Michigan State University, and I literally went broke. I'm like, what am I going to do? I have to reinvent myself. And Jim was still in radio.
Yeah, I was at Clear Channel as national sales manager. And Inauguration Day 2009, they eliminated 75% of us NSMs and about 2,000 people, 2,000 total staff across the country.
Right. So after band practice one day, we're looking at each other, commiserating, saying, what are we going to do? We're a couple of middle-aged white guys. we need to come up with a way to pay our mortgage and feed our families. So we went to PBS, and I actually tried to resurrect a children's show that I tried to do.
The
Bob's job, exactly.
Right? I love Bob's job.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
I'm glad somebody. Well, actually, because when I was producing and directing the car commercials, a friend of mine said, "You like kids," because I always wanted to be a first grade teacher. I love children, and he says, "You're good in front of a camera." I'm like, "Well, actually, no, I'm not. I hate being in front of a camera." He goes, "Well, you're funny. Why don't you try and do a kids show?" So I actually produced, wrote, and PBS aired 3 of these programs. Won Emmys for all of them, but I couldn't find the funding for it, and that's, as we all know, that's the secret to anything, is getting.
That's the secret sauce.
There's
man.
there's exactly well said. There's a lot of great people out there with great ideas, but if you can't find the funding to do it, they die on the vine. So this thing died on the vine, and I just went back to producing car commercials. So Jim and I thought, why don't we take this back to PBS and try and resurrect this kids show, Bob's Job? So we made a meeting with the big muckety mucks at PBS. We go in and we sit down at the big conference room or around this big table. And they said, 5 minutes into the meeting, they say, children's programming is a quagmire of red tape. There's already tons of it out there. We don't really need any more. What else you got?
Oh, really?
Yes, and unfortunately...
Like we brought a box of ideas.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have a plan B. We just went in with plan A.
Yeah.
Barely an A.
Right? So, and this is no joke. So Jim and I literally are kicking each other under the table like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So we just blurted out, how about a really cool show about Michigan where we travel the state and meet interesting people, see cool places and things, and share it with Michigan and the rest of the world what a great place this is we live. And their eyes lit up, and they said, we love this. This is incredible. If you can produce it yourself, pay for it yourself, and donate money to us, we'll air it for you. And we were like, what a deal.
That's not rehearsed or anything.
No. We're like, okay. So, Jim...
I knew some people up in Lansing at the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And it was really kind of what we thought was just a test meeting to run this by them before we could go talk to the Pure Michigan folks. And so we present it. Tom had put together a little sizzle piece, a little 3-minute piece on what we thought the show should look like.
Yeah, just me running around. This is Michigan. You're going to love it. My name is Tom. And
I'm the star in it.
Yeah, exactly. Please let me star in it. It's my idea. And so, they're nodding their head through the meeting, and they're giving us all the normal, hey, they like what we do. Now they'll give us names of people we can go talk to that have money.
Yeah, it was just really a test to practice our presentation.
Sure.
So on the way home, we get a phone call.
In the car.
Saying, hey, we think we have the funding. We like what you're doing.
You get a phone call in the car on the way home?
Our first meeting.
I've sold a lot of things in my life.
Yes.
And a lot of radio. No one's ever called 20 minutes after the meeting and said, here's your money.
They literally called us and said, we love the fact that your show changes people's perception of Michigan, because in 2009, we were all down on the state. We all hated where we live.
Right.
We love the fact that it changes people's reality and will eventually change all of our future. We want to fund your program. It just, we literally pulled the car off the road and did the funky grandpa dance on the side of the road.
You throw the dance in there.
I can't do the dance. I'm sitting down right now. But yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So then we actually had a bit of panic, because then we realized, now we have to actually make a TV show.
And a lot of why housing development really cared about a show like Under the Radar was it was all about placemaking.
Yeah.
And it did it subtly in a way that never said placemaking, and just made you feel good about where you lived. And Tom mentioned we were all down on Michigan. There was just a lot of bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
The Kwame stink was still wafting through the halls. Yeah. It was a lot about.
Well, that was actually just firing up. Actually,
yeah.
09. Yeah,
it
you're
was
right.
Starting to really get ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
the mansion parties, and that's when that.
Right. We were not there, by the way.
No, none of us were. Wink, wink. Now, you guys were not precursors to the Pure Michigan campaign.
No,
I mean,
no.
Was Tim
No.
Has Tim been doing those spots for 20 years?
I think so.
No, it's 10 years. Just 10 years.
Oh, it's only been 10?
Yeah, they just had their 10th year last year. And he was there from the
I remember I was on the air at WCSX, and I heard that spot, and I said, how in the hell do I know that voice?
Right.
And so I heard it again, and I said, and I could just tell by certain ways that he said a word, it was Tim Allen.
Yeah.
So I called him, and I said, are you doing Pure Michigan spots? He goes, yeah. I said, I got a place up in Northport. I said, yeah. And I said, I remember. And so he says, I said, God, you sound awesome on those. And he said, the guy had me do it over and over and over again. He said, I wanted to just scream at him, for God's sakes, I'm Buzz Lightyear,
Right,
man.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
I heard an interview with him. It was actually Dave Lorenz, who was the head of Pure Michigan, was interviewing Tim. And Tim was kind of going, his story has changed a little bit. He was talking about how grateful he was to the producer who helped him find this voice, because he said, if it were up to me, it would have been Buzz Lightyear doing these spots.
Yeah, that's
He goes,
right.
I only knew one thing.
Well, you see, hate turns into great.
Yeah.
When it all of a sudden it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting back to UTR, Under the Radar, Tom Daldin, Jim Edelman. You have other cast or ancillary
Characters.
employees, right?
Oh, Eric
of
Tremonti,
course.
he's our director. We have to do this.
Oh, yes,
we have
by
you
law.
have to hold your hand in the orange. He's our director, and he also shoots and does the rough story edit. Then we have some very talented freelance editors and sound design people.
Marketing ninja.
Yeah, marketing ninja, Alexa. So yeah, it's a cast of almost a half dozen.
Well,
It is not much. We wear
let
a
me
lot of
tell you
different
something.
hats.
Yeah, that's.
We do wear.
It's an incredible product. It looks great.
Thank
you.
It's shot wonderfully. The chemistry, the timing, of course, because you all know each other so well.
Right.
That's why I would be a natural for the show.
Oh, I see why we're here.
It's funny, yeah.
I see
It's funny
why
you
we're
should
here.
mention that because the first few shows we did with the production company that I used to do the car commercials with, and spent a lot of money. We went about $150,000 into debt.
Really?
Producing those shows.
That hurts.
And they were with a big crew, gaffer's grips. You pull up with the big truck and all that.
And wait.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And the show had no magic to it. And so Jim and I looked at each other one day, and Jim goes, "This isn't rocket science. You know what? We're this is not a good business model. We're going broke fast. We'll just buy a couple of cameras, hire our buddy Ed. We'll just do this ourselves."
Call him Ed.
Oh, I mean Eric. I'm sorry. Who's Ed?
Our good buddy.
Our
Really
good buddy
friend.
Ed, Eric, and
We'll come back to that question right after this break.
oh, you should, because I write the show as well. I've actually written people into sentences who weren't even in front of me. It's bizarre. So anyway, we hired Eric and took off to do the next program. The show instantly got more organic, more real, more natural, funnier, better, and we started winning Emmys for it. So
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said organic.
Yeah.
Because I think when you have too much time to sit around and wait for all of the other players to get their lights just right and all that, you start to lose your enthusiasm for your own project.
That's
Exactly.
it.
One of the first places we shot was at Cliff Bell's downtown Detroit.
Yeah.
And the DP spent 3.5 hours lighting the bar where we were going to sit.
Yeah.
And by the time it was time for the conversation, the magic, the energy, everything was gone.
They
Gone.
had six great interviews just sitting there talking.
Yeah,
that's why people use stand-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our show isn't the slickest show you'll ever see, but we don't. I think it works because I don't look smart enough to lie. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and it's three guys, two cameras, one car. It's genuine discovery. We're just out there having fun, and just bragging about the state.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to say this because I'm certainly not the only one to mention this to you. As you roll up I-75 or 23 or whatever one of the 72s or 22 or whatever, and you see all of these places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the key word, the operative word was organic, and I love the fact that, like I said, as I traveled years ago, I always thought about, and you did one recently on Seashell City.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I thought,
Seashell City.
how in the hell could we have a seashell city with the world's largest seashell in Michigan?
I know. I
And
asked
thought,
her that
"Get
too.
off."
I said, "What are you doing?"
And so
here?
we did. We got off and we walked around that place, and I was like, well, this is really cool. It's not just, I thought it was just going to be, boom.
Right. I
Hi.
thought it was going to be.
Hello, come on back here. Want to see my shells? No, I don't think so.
That's East Coast.
Yeah, like it's going to be some guy with 3 shells on a table and a little and a marble, right?
Oh, it's a profit deal.
Yeah. No, but the place is really cool, and the shells they have there are incredible. And you're right; it's in the middle of dry land, in the middle of the state. But it's actually a fascinating. It took us 7 seasons.
Every time we
seasons to
passed
make
it,
there.
we would make the joke about saying that 3 times fast, and then we'd juckle and drive on.
No, and the joke played out for about 5 minutes during the program.
Oh, yeah, we beat things into the ground.
Well, first of all, have you ever, because I haven't seen all, 800 shows?
No, we're about 108 now.
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone ever defined precisely what is up north?
Good question.
That's a very good question. We do know that once you get up north, every place is haunted because they use it as an excuse for the fact that the water's cold, or you don't get your towel in your room.
My towel had some hair on it. Oh, that wacky ghost.
My burrito's cold in the middle. Well, it's the ghost.
Well, for me, up north is defined as when you're that area of 75 where the median turns to pine trees.
Yep.
That's
I'm
for
with
me.
you. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
For me, it's when you hit that giant Jesus on the side of the road. It says, "Are you sure you're on the right road?"
Right.
It's just like, oh,
That's like around West Branch, I think.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people consider West Branch to be
up north.
Now, the most terrifying part of the trip for me, and I think we've discussed this back in my RIF days, bridges. I can't do bridges.
So the
Zilwaukee
Zilwaukee Bridge.
Flips me out.
You know why? Because I've never been on a bridge before where there are ebbs and tides and dips and it's just like, why are there hills
on the bridge?
Right, there are hills on the bridge.
It has a NASCAR, like a NASCAR-onion.
It does.
Right. Plus, we were just up in the Upper Peninsula. We actually went out into the frozen tundra of the UP and did a dog sled run, which was incredible experience. A place called Nature's Kennel. If you ever have a chance, try it. And we were on our way back over the Zilwaukee Bridge. And I never noticed it until this trip that the sides on the bridge, they're like 2 feet high. There's not much protection if you've got a mind to not drive well.
And all the snow was packed up there.
Yeah.
So it was like a perfect ramp to just go off the side. So we tried that.
The idea of being a plow on the far inside or on the far outside, pushing and all of a sudden catching something and all of a sudden the wall comes down.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go.
And there's no way to get around that
Don't you remember? It was like ribbon cutting. Oh, we found some cracks.
Yeah.
Oh, and they had to
redo like it took a year more, which was like, okay, now I'll never feel safe on this thing. And you see it coming on the horizon, and I just kind of get that Jaws music going through my head. But that's kind of like when I feel like I'm starting to get up north.
Yeah.
See, we break it up into these like chunks. We always meet at the Flint airport because Tom leaves his car there.
Right.
And then
just
so that's
idling.
like the first chunk, because it's got to be warm. The next chunk is, if we're going up to the UP, the next chunk for me is West Branch because that's the last stop for good snacks.
Yeah.
Not the last stop, but it's like everything's there. Yeah. And then it's the bridge, and then another bridge that you hate.
And it's funny every time we cross the Mackinac Bridge, we always say the same thing. I always say, "Oh, look, rocky outcroppings,"
and I say it's completely different
because it is. Have you ever been to the UP?
Yeah. In one of your episodes, you guys go to the very top.
Yes, and
of the big mighty Mac,
the very top of the South Suspension Tower, and to get up there is a bizarre experience. It's like you go through a little door, and you're going through like little portholes and ladders. It's like you're in the belly of a submarine. Wow. And then you get in a little elevator built for one, but there's two of you in there. And it takes you about 20 minutes to get to the top. Then you open a hatch at the very top, like in a submarine.
Sure.
Boom, that falls open. You step out there, and the platform is literally 7 feet by 25 feet with two pipe railings on either side, and that's it. And Jim loves it up there.
I've been up there 3 times.
3 times he's been up there. I went up once, and my first thought was, okay, now who do I give my man card to? And how do I tell these guys that I've just soiled my armor? I can't do this. But then I looked up, I noticed Eric was doing well, and he doesn't like heights either. Yeah. So I said, okay, just man up and do this thing. But it's 552 feet above the water. Now, the one pleasant surprise is,
but you could technically slip and slide under the railing.
Oh, totally.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
You could.
How out of balance do you have to be to slip and slide?
Well, you'd have to have that
my
Bloody Mary you were talking about.
Crossing set.
Yeah. No, but it's uncomfortable up there, to say the least. But the nice thing is, like I said, the one saving grace is these things are sunk into hundreds of feet of bedrock, so they don't sway. You can see the bridge swaying, but the suspension towers are solid, like you're on a skyscraper. Right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, but it's I wouldn't want to go back. But Jim would actually get a summer home up there.
There's a thing that happens with heights, and I don't know if you probably didn't get the opportunity, but to go to the top. This is going back now to the RIF days. Fred Miller, the chief engineer, took me up in the tower.
I went up in the tower.
So you did go in the tower?
I did go in the tower, so but I did not. I made it about halfway.
So did they put you on the platform?
They put
the big platform that's up there?
No, we opened it up, and he tried to get me to go out. I couldn't go out on the platform, but we went up in that little 2-man thing where we stared at each other, and we had like a little
uncomfortably close.
We had a little hand railing thing that we held on to, and the thing ka-chung, 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 ka-chung.
How did you do that?
We did. If you guys remember this, we did when it was Calvert and Napodi.
Yeah.
We did 3 live television commercials.
Yep.
In the Monday night football game.
Yes.
One was from a bar downtown.
Yep.
What was the name of that bar? I can't remember. It was Detroiter? That wasn't Detroit.
No, it was like the Soup Kitchen maybe or something. Before
you're right, it was.
It was right, off of, I forget,
Because,
St. Antoine maybe.
Because I was producing that.
And we nailed all three. And the other one was up in the tower.
It was.
It was in the tower. But we only went a third of the way up.
Okay.
And because that was about as good a clear shot as they could get.
Oh, from the ground.
And we did go out on that platform.
Okay.
You did for the commercial.
The theory was he was going to go up and jump because he heard the ratings were bad. And then I pull out of my back pocket the ratings. I said, "No, Joe, I've got the ratings right here. We're number one, Joe. We're number one." And he's like, "We're number one?" I said, "We're number one, Joe." He goes, "What the hell are we doing up here? Let's get down." It's like one of those, wah, 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 wah. But I think he wrote that. I think he wrote all of them, actually.
Yeah, but we rewrote them while there, yeah.
So that was those, but that has to do with Heights and me and not UTR, Under the Radar.
Right.
Show is well-funded now.
Yes.
The show now, in terms of you guys now know it probably well enough to just pick your locations in advance, have a schedule.
Yeah, even though it looks like we just roll into town and we, start the cameras and we're making it up as we go along, it's very organized. I mean, the people that we feature have been contacted and they know what to expect. And a complete production schedule is complete because I came out of that world, out of the production TV world.
Right.
So there's a complete production plan and schedule. I write a script before we shoot. After we shoot, I rewrite the script. Then Eric does what's called a rough story edit. Then it goes to other editors for sound design or for B-roll and for music. Then it goes to a sound design company. Then it goes for closed captioning. So yeah, it appears as though we don't know what we're doing, but we actually do. So
well, no, but I mean your locations. Do you scout your locations or do you just say this looks interesting?
Actually, our biggest resource now are our fans and people that watch the show. They send us emails, Facebook posts daily, hourly, saying, "Have you been to this place? Have you eaten at this restaurant? Have you been on this hike? Have you?" So they're a tremendous resource. So what we do is we get together every month or so. We have what's called the Three Amigos meeting, Eric, Jim, and I, and we just go over all the information, all the places, and then we try to represent every part of the state as best we can. But that's basically how we do it.
Yeah, I mean the scouting happens really via the computer too. If we're stuck, we'll get on Google Earth and through Street View, just drive down streets and look at the businesses that are there.
Yeah, right now we found
a ski pole company up in Sheboygan, the only Nordic ski pole maker in North America. Everyone else is made overseas.
Right. Is that right?
Yeah,
right.
And it's just he's making his own carbon fiber tubing. This guy is an inventor extraordinaire.
Yeah, and we do, because there's so much incredible stuff happening in Detroit right now.
Yeah.
We'll do a couple of shows a season in Detroit. And my daughter she graduated from Wayne State this past year, and she lives downtown, so she's like our scout on the ground.
Yeah.
So she's been responsible for a lot of the cool restaurants.
I have nieces and nephews all living either in Corktown.
Yep, she lives in West Village.
Or the district area.
Yep.
And I mean, so it's killing in downtown Detroit right now. It's incredible.
It is.
With the LCA. The Q line.
But I will say too that this is happening in other little towns too. Port Huron, all the loft spaces that are above the buildings downtown are filled. Lansing, people are looking for this real city experience wherever they are. Marquette has some fantastic loft living.
Yeah, especially young people are reconnecting with cities and downtowns because when we grew up, everybody moved out into the suburbs. We lived in big grids. We went to big box stores, bought stuff wrapped in cellophane, put it in the freezer in the basement, and that's what we ate. And we all just, howdy neighbor. But now people are reconnecting with cities and towns. Young people are and opening new restaurants, and it's this renaissance that's happening all across the state.
I think selfishly I like it better when you travel because of the fact that I can basically, those are various touchstones here locally that I already know about. You can constantly reinvent yourself in every city.
Exactly.
I mean, from Southfield to Madison Heights, Sterling Heights. Sometimes I'll see on my navigation and say to myself, I'm just in a part of Warren, and I'll say, I've never been here before.
Yeah.
Right. I remember we had a charity bowling outing one time, and we went to this place. You don't know where Melody Bowl is? No, I'm afraid I don't.
It's funny. A friend of mine said when we started doing the show, season 1, he goes, "You guys are doing a show just about Michigan?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, dude, what are you going to do after just one season? It's like there are so many. We get so many emails, and so many people are sending us so much information. There's so many cool people doing so many extraordinary things. We will never run out.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't offer anything to that. I mean, I know that my first stops that I was just blown away were like Leelanau,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
and then Charlevoix, Harbor Springs. But of course, it's basically a whole bunch of wealthy people living,
The size of that boat.
Making life fabulous.
making it even a little better. You know what I mean?
Well, that's right. That's why every season we. Oh, sorry. That's why every season we try and do a Sunrise Side special. We go to the east side.
You
of the
know,
state.
I was when you were talking about Port Huron and the activity there, I was
Yep.
going to ask you about that because I really think that the Sunrise Side is often going,
Oh.
hey,
Exactly.
Over
there
here.
are beautiful
They certainly
sand
are.
beaches over there. There's the lake is more accessible there. You could buy property on the lake that's
Yeah.
very reasonable. You can actually meet somebody and get married over there, can't you, Jim?
It is a shocking revelation, but that is so true, Tom
We
Daldin.
in season 5 was it?
No, 4. It was
Season
the last
4.
show of season 4.
Last show of season 4, we featured an incredible resort called My Tiki Resort. It's on Lake Huron in Oscoda.
Sounds like
and
it
it's
sounds like either a bad joke or a great drink.
no, it's you swear to God, if it's all these little pastel cottages on the beach, beautiful sand beach. When you're there, you would swear you're in Jamaica or Key West.
No kidding.
Incredible, beautiful beach. So we go there to feature them on the program because we've been driving by there for 4 years, seeing these beautiful little huts on the beach.
So photogenic.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's very tropical. So we go in there and we meet Teresa, the owner, and I sit down to do the interview with her, and it works out well. Except the weather wasn't really that good that day for beautiful B-roll.
Right.
So Jim offers. He goes, "Hey, I'll drive back up next weekend." Wink, wink, because she was kind of cute, and I'll shoot some B-roll next weekend. So
I went up. It was 4th of July weekend. I was going to a buddy's place in Alpena, and swing in, kind of rainy and not so nice. So we're talking and chatting and getting to know each other. And next thing you know, Love Connection is struck up. And
our show is not a dating program,
it
but
is not, but it did work out that way. And Teresa and I got married this past September. Tom officiated the wedding.
That's right. So they're doomed. Yeah, they actually went up there just to shoot B-roll and fell in love,
Yeah.
and now they're married.
Yeah, and I got myself 2 great kids out of the deal. She has 2 daughters.
That's phenomenal. That's
Yeah.
a great story.
Yeah.
It is. Here's the thing about
Oh,
it.
now the buzzers, the hands-on buzzers right now, that's going to go way up. Yeah. If Frank Nuns was doing a poll on this right now, he would say, now they really like that part of the story.
Yeah. But, not only did the show change our lives because it gave us a career,
Right.
but it
Yeah.
changed my life because I ended up with a wife and 2 fabulous kids.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to end there, but that would be a great place to end. And
Okay, I'm out of here.
listen, if I want to end it, I can end it anytime I damn well want to.
Your car wheels just.
I'm just going to edit this down to 30 seconds
But,
anyway.
but I do like the fact that one of the things I was going to ask you about was the one area that I haven't spent a ton of time in, and I think we should spend just a couple of minutes on it, because you seem to absolutely love it, the Upper Peninsula.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
going deep into
Oh.
the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, those are actually my favorite episodes, our UP adventures,
Yeah.
because down here, everybody thinks that up in the UP, it's just a bunch of people whittling, shooting stuff that's running away from them, and it's just like they're just a bunch of youpers. But the art scene up there is incredible. The food scene is incredible, and not to mention the fact that I call it our own out west. Because if you haven't been up there and you haven't been to places like Lake in the Clouds over in Porcupine Mountains, you'd think you're in Colorado.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
saw that one. It was spectacular.
incredible.
There was nothing phony about your response to what you were just. You were in awe. You were like,
oh yeah, and pictured rocks.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went out for that tour. I'm like, where am I?
Yeah.
This is in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's just, So it's beautiful country, beautiful people. The funny thing is the population of the UP has been 300,000 for 100 years. It doesn't seem to change. I'm not sure if it's the same
the same
people.
for
They've
100,000.
discovered the fountain of youth. But it's just we get
having
the
a
warmest.
baby, Bob? No, don't need to.
You get back across that bridge right now.
Yeah,
Get off my property.
It's Brigadoon up there.
Yeah, right.
But wonderful, everything from Oh gosh, there's Oswald's Bear Ranch. There's a guy up there who's an ex-Marine, firefighter, boxer.
Started the MMAs.
Started the MMA.
Not MMA. I'm sorry. The
Tough man fights. Talks like this. He's a bear man, and he finds bears that are abandoned or orphaned, or the mothers have been shot, and bears that would otherwise become extinct. They would die, and he built like this square mile enclosure for them, and he takes care of these bears. They call him Bear Man. You can go up there, and he'll literally put a little mint in his teeth, and here comes a 500-600 pound bear. Will take this mint out of his mouth as gently as you can imagine.
Really?
So he there's all these orphans. So everything from unusual characters like that to Lakenin Land. There's a drive-through art exhibit up there that will blow your mind. It's just east of Marquette, right off the highway, and this guy takes industrial junk and makes literally sculptures that are 20, 30, 40 feet tall of the most bizarrely wonderful stuff, and it's a drive-through free exhibit. It's just there's a lot of unusual stuff up there.
All right, 2 quick questions for you, and then I'll let you guys go. Number one, what do you do? The driving has got to be a bit of a tireless struggle on occasion, like, okay, point A to point B, guys, we got to be ready to just sort of live with it for the next 4.5 hours, right?
Jim does 90% of the driving because he doesn't drink. Bonus.
Okay.
Actually, we always say it's never too far if you're having fun in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
So we, like Jim tells people all the time, and it's true, we'll get in the car, and 4 hours later, we haven't even turned on the radio. We're talking.
It's still happening.
It's
8 years
weird.
later.
Yeah, it's weird. Eric, Jim, and I all kind of have the same sense of humor, the same mindset, the same philosophies, the same. It's weird. So we just get along incredibly well. So we're telling stories, making stories up.
Right.
I remember the one time.
Right.
Boy, I'll tell you, I was interviewing Ringo Starr. And he said, "You look like a drummer." And I said, "By God, I am." And he said, "Well, I happen to have a kit in the bus.
Oh, no.
Why don't you come on out and strike those bad boys?"
But I have my accordion here.
I said, "I'd like to, Ringo, but I've got a radio program to do." He said, "I understand. You're a good man." Finally, yes, go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just giving the Ringo peace sign.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back at you, bro. I thought you were saying that's it. We got to go. Calling off the host. By the way, the host name is Ken Calvert.
Ken Calvert.
All right,
I'm with Tom Daldin and Jim Edelman. We go way back to WRIF. I don't know. Let's just say 30 years ago. We've known each other, and of course, a very successful Under the Radar program, as seen on Channel 56 or public television.
It's on PBS television all throughout the state, Canada, other parts of the Midwest. It's on as well.
Ohio, Indiana.
Yep.
And,
We've even been on Florida, Tennessee.
What about Illinois? I would think Illinois would be a natural.
I think
They have not picked it up.
That's shocking because Chicago owns basically the Upper West Side of the state.
That is very true.
There are more Illinois plates
actually,
up there.
yes, when you go to the lower that lower part of Michigan.
the Grand Haven areas, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you go to a harbor country, they play a game called Find the Michigan License Plate because it's all people from Chicago. Illinois.
With that said, I want to thank you guys.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
On behalf of myself and all of us here at Calvert Creative Enterprises, LLC 99, I think we've done a hell of a good job.
Heck yeah.
I have no complaints.
I was just thrilled to see you again because we spent so many of our formative years together.
Yeah.
The ones that we can remember, we'll talk about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm lucky to have survived all of it. That is for sure. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys. I hope you had a good time.
Oh, pleasure.
Thanks for sharing the great stories with us. And once again, just to reset for everybody, it's Under the Radar. It's Under the Radar, Michigan.
If you're listening if you're in the Detroit area, we're on Saturday mornings at 10:30 or Thursday evenings at 8:30, and we're on the Create channel a couple of other times as well. So
all episodes available as well on the website if you'd like.
Yes, visit UTR, like Under the Radar, UTRMichigan.com. Just UTRMichigan.com, or you can find us on Facebook as well and share ideas and send us pictures of yourself.
Well, congratulations. I can't think of two guys that I'd rather see succeed more. You've always been a blast to be around. I mean that. I haven't used that word in years either. So it's been a great time. Thanks so much for stopping by.
You can subscribe to the Ken Calvert Show podcast on Apple iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. It's also available by going directly to www.thekencalvertshow.com. You can reach Ken at kencalvertpodcast@gmail.com. The preceding program is the property of Ken Calvert and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of Ken Calvert.